Hello, everybody, and welcome to Coffee with Chloe in the morning. And as you can imagine, it's not morning, but I do have my coffee. And I am Chloe, and I am the co-founder of the Marmaj Foundation. And my mic has not been working very well recently, so before I get too much further, my throat's killing me, so I don't really feel like speaking too much louder. I'm gonna try and see how the audio is. You know what? It's not great. I might try and fix it. And uh, where are we? Oh, it's not letting me go negative decibels. So this is as good as it's gonna get, but I'm glad it's working for now. So today we're gonna be going through a lot of stuff. This is actually where we're going to be ending off. We're going to be starting here. So blockchain, Web3, all this stuff, it's a lot of different things for different people. And the Marmaj Foundation, right? That's what we're talking about right now. The Marmaj Foundation, which is a nonprofit based in Canada that tries to leverage Web3 tech for social good. So breaking that down, Web3, in my opinion at least, or in the Marmaj Foundation's opinion, is just the ability to own digital assets, own the internet, own your data, own your identity potentially. The idea, I guess, of trying to own as much as possible, be self-sovereign and kind of choose what happens to those things that you own with full control, or as much control as possible. That's a kind of how I see it, at least. And so with that kind of ownership mentality, we try and see how we can kind of educate people how to efficiently, be in that mentality for social good. And social good is, again, a very high level term, means very different things to many different people. And so I have my definition of social good, and that's kind of like coaching, supporting, uplifting others, helping others achieve their dreams or goals or aspirations in a way that uplifts others. So it's always kind of a way of building community, self-sustainable growth, and things like that. Our other co-founder, Bianca, she has a bit of a different definition. And I think everyone has their own definition, and that's awesome. And so as the Marmaj Foundation, we kind of use our token to kind of signify who is in our community and, how do we kind of galvanize and come to consensus about what does social good mean to the Marmaj Foundation. So that's kind of the idea here is how can we kind of expand the definition outside of one individual or of two individuals, co-founders, or even outside of the scope of a board of directors, but into hopefully thousands and thousands of people. So the total supply of the Marmaj token is 21,019. And so this does not work like, shares of a company where you can only have then 21,019 people that can, interact with these tokens. Someone can have half of a Marmaj token or a quarter of a Marmaj token. And so here is like a little iframe of Ref Finance, which is a decentralized exchange. And you can see how you can have like 0.001 Marmaj tokens, and you can see that that's worth around 0.006 cents or 0.006 USN, which is supposed to keep its peg to the US dollar. So lots of different things happening, but the idea is the Marmaj token is completely open, trading on the open market. It's out in the wild, and there's no governance attached to it. There's no idea of go buy it so you can do anything. There's no reason to actually buy it. As you can see, if you know about exchanges, the token on the top is actually what you'd be wanting to sell. Okay, so normally if you saw something like this, you'd connect your near wallet, right? Then you'd have some Marmaj tokens, hopefully, after interacting maybe with the Marmaj DAO, supporting the Marmaj community, and then you would be able to exchange or swap. That's the actual function name, is swap, or FU transfer call if you want to be specific. Marmaj tokens into other tokens, and you can see that it actually goes through various other tokens it interacts with, and so it's actually pretty cool. In my opinion, how a whole ecosystem kind of works together to support itself. And so, I'm talking about this DAO and this you get these marmaj tokens and all of that. So pretty much, as you can see, there's 1,975 and change marmaj tokens in the marmaj DAO. And so the marmaj Foundation, if I kind of zoom in a little bit so you can see better, or I can see better. So marmaj.sputnik-dao.near is the near account or the smart contract for the marmaj DAO. And so we kind of have this marmaj Foundation, which is a legal entity, a nonprofit that helps our community interact with Web2 organizations more efficiently. And then we have this more kind of Web3 self-sovereign DAO model where we're trying to educate our community and educate others on how potentially you can educate yourselves to support your local community's initiatives, whatever those may be. And so what are some tools for that? And so typically, there will be proposals on the marmaj DAO. And so sometimes the proposals would be about, adding minters to NFT smart contracts. So for example, Anissa is actually my cousin. She's a very talented artist, and she's actually collaborated on some marmaj art in the past. And so she expressed interest in doing that in the future with one of our community stores. This is the community store specifically. This is a proposal to add someone as an advisor, for example, Ali, which is super exciting. So for example, there was an issue with this one, adding Anissa. And so you could see there's lots of different things. For example, this proposal was to collect an NFT off of Mintbase. So quick example of how someone might interact with the marmaj DAO is they might go and create a very cool NFT like this that's actually a 3D model. And if you view this on your phone, you can actually view it on your camera in the real world, which is, in my opinion, super cool. You can walk around. Okay, let me try this. marmaj.org/beach. Bear with me here. I've never actually tried this before, so this is the first time I'm trying this. But the purpose of this stream today, to be honest, is to go through quite a range of things. So Ernest, have fun. I'm going to try and do my best to keep things in sync. Currently, we're talking about the marmaj token, its value, or not, well, the use cases, its utility, and its perceived value to different members of the marmaj community. So we're going to join the room. When you join, it says, okay, loaded, failed to load the avatar or whatever. We're just gonna pop in. We're gonna block that for now. Because OBS is using my microphone. I don't want to mess anything up. Okay, so we have audio. That's good. So we're gonna jump in. When I go to, so let's connect wallet, because a lot of features in this specific DApp are not available unless you log in. So I'm going to log in with 21819.near, which is the research account, I guess, or the testing account that I use currently, the hot wallet for that. Definitely need some of this coffee. Okay, so now it's going to reload everything. We're going to join the room. Now we can change avatar. Okay, so typically we would want the marmaj Chan avatar to kind of show up here. Let's see, marmaj. There are some of these, for example, that I can wear. So I could, when it loads, you'll see it. I can accept, enter the room. Oh, okay, this avatar is broken, for example. So so right now what's happening is my head is looking up, right? So because, and if I turn this light bulb, you can see the world. Yeah, so because my head's looking up, it's really hard to, it's like a bug right now. And so there's a way to fix it. I can't remember. You have to look down. Yeah, but it's kind of broken. Okay, so the idea is, I don't know how to actually, avatar. And create avatar. Ooh, custom GLB. Ooh, I have to save this custom GLB, which is not on my desktop. Okay, well, give me a second. get it onto my desktop. Why is this being so difficult? Is it just like a really big screen? Where's like the minus? Okay. Is this actually gonna freeze my whole thing? Like this? Ah! My whole screen is now frozen. Okay, because of this thing. Ah, there we go. The dual monitors really messed up that. Okay, so we're gonna get this JLB file. I think I could just get it from here though, right? Because type 3D model, so it should be on chain. So if I go to rweave, oh, sorry, it's right here. Yeah, this hash, right? Yeah, sorry. Well, I should have it now. I just downloaded it, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Hold up. That's kind of cool. Come on, that's kind of cool. I was here looking at an NFT, and now I'm loading it into a different application. Save. I don't know whether, like, I'm just using the avatar. Okay, so, okay, well, it's having a hard time loading my avatar. So let's refresh. So, but this is kind of the flow of what a contributor may do to support the marmaj community so they can have some fun, earn some. So this one specifically was in near tokens, and so again, if you go back to the page, you could see, then how near would correlate to marmaj. If someone, I think it was 8.19 is how we do it, and so wait, why is it showing such a terrible rate? There we go. So for each NFT, for example, the DAO is collecting from this store, it's spending about 7.38 marmaj of value, for example, right? And so let's accept. Let's see if this works. Block. Enter. Okay. And so now shift to run. I can go look in the mirror. Ooh, cute. And so we have this mirror here, but as you can see, my head is still kind of broken, and so I think it's more of a view type of issue, right? So, but if you do kind of use the I button, you can see what it looks like. So we're experimenting here again about what ownership might mean. Like, so the owner of the NFT maybe could own the avatar, and that could be a way for them to kind of support their creativity. Who knows? But the idea is, how do we start experimenting with that? How do we start distributing the marmaj token in that fashion and using the marmaj DAO to do so? So that's kind of how the marmaj DAO fits into play. Within the marmaj Foundation generally, we change our governance here. We distribute treasury, finances, a variety of different things get done. It's quite wild. But the idea is, there's a token contract, right? So I mean, the idea here is that you can just see it on the Explorer, not the, well, okay, it's going to say this for now. We can look at it on near blocks, actually works quite well. Blocks. Near. And so you could see, everything here that's happening with the token and all the other, tokens it's been interacting with, which is pretty cool. And so, for example, you can look up other tokens, like what's a good one? I'm like totally spacing out on good token names, but we can find out from Ref. What's a good one? Ref's a good one. Let's use Ref. But I forget their token name. So here, I'm pretty sure. Where are we here? Where does it show the token contract? Oh my gosh, it doesn't show it. Active accounts. Interesting. CoinGecko should show it though. Now I'm going a bit on a tangent. That's what? And it doesn't even show the right thing. That's not good. Sorry, but this link should show the link actually to Ref on CoinGecko. Because here it does show. See, the contract is here. And so, like, we can look, and this is just, let's close this. Here we go. There you go. And you can also see other tokens and what they've done, and everyone who's interacted with those. Point being is that everything is transparent. Everything can be seen and recorded, not just now, but every mistake someone's made, every error, not just an hour ago, but since the beginning of the token existed, which I think is pretty cool. So the idea here is that we can always look back and start digging into the how well we're doing with our token distribution, with impacting the world with social good. Are we actually doing a good job? What's actually happening? So this is Pikes Peak. This is an analytics dashboard, and this allows you to look at a lot of different data within the Near ecosystem. And I think they're going to Aurora as well, so they have an Aurora section here that's coming soon, right? Not there yet. You do have to pay for this specific service, so it isn't free, but it's pikespeak.ai. And you can kind of just see an overview of everything that's going on. But what I'm trying to look at right now is the tokens, for example. So what I use this for specifically is to make sure I can look at the marmaj token and start really knowing, I guess, how many people are we impacting with this token. And so yes, there's some financial metrics. Okay, so there's the market cap, total supply, like those numbers don't change. Total supply doesn't change. Market cap changes, but that's just based on market dynamics. What I think is very interesting is, first of all, how many holders there are. So how many different Near accounts have interacted with the marmaj token and actually hold it. So there's 21,000 tokens and 1,000 people have interacted with it. To me, that's pretty cool. How many transfers? 13,000 transfers. Now, a lot of those are arbitrage trades and all that kind of stuff, but there you go. And then here's where we see kind of a breakdown of the holders of the token. And this is where we have quite a skew at the moment. And as we launch governance with the token and we kind of experiment on, different token weighted governance models and different just governance models in the Web3 space in general, the main marmaj DAO, for example, does not plan to add token weighted voting until this reparation or repartition or whatever. Yes, repartition. The breakdown of the holders of marmaj tokens is more evenly distributed. Okay, so for example, how many accounts hold more than $100,000 balance? So it's 17,000 tokens, and that would be 100 grand. Only one of those, and that, in my opinion, would be the Ref Finance farming. Nope, the Ref Finance pool contract. Probably. Oh my gosh, sorry, my throat is not feeling the best today. So that's the Ref Finance pool contract. And so I will actually show you that pool because it's right here. So if you go to farms, on ref, and you go to yours, and you go to marmaj st near, and you go to get LP tokens, it'll bring you to this pool 553 on, yeah, so here you see there's 148. So why does it only show 102? Because this 102 is actually the amount held by the marmaj DAO, specifically for the most part. So we can see that as we go to ref analytics. Okay, and as we go to the DEX and we, farming maybe? No. We're looking for the graphs. Yes, liquidity providers. And we're looking at pool 553. And you're going to see that marmaj.sputnikdao.near holds, 6,000 shares, right, of 553. So these 6,000 shares represent the 102,000. This next value of 11K, so almost 2,000 tokens, is represented by this next value on the ref analytics, which is the boost farm, the new farm. Okay, so this boost farm right here has $45,000, value staked, and that is the remaining amount here. So 3,000 shares, 2,000 marmaj, around 2,000 st near, and then you can see there's some people that have shares that actually haven't entered a farm yet, which is okay, but they're not earning. So actually, the largest person who's done that is actually Sour Icky. One of our financial advisors. He's been very busy, so we got to talk to him and keep him playing around with this. He works in Web 2 finance, and so Sour Icky, we're hopefully going to have him moving over his farming rewards soon. But there's actually been quite a few people who have not moved their farming rewards over. This is the old farming contract. There's still some funds in there. There's Precious Princess, who has not moved their funds over. Kathleen has not moved their funds over. Ted IV. So there's lots of people in our community who have not moved the funds over, and arguably then that's on us. Now we can look at this data and say, hey, if we have this many people in our community that have not moved the funds over, maybe, so like Lydia, for example, if you get to this part in the video Lydia, who's the new research intern for the marmaj Research DAO, maybe we need more articles explaining to people explicitly how and why they would want to move over their funds. And not only how and why, but also explaining how many people in the community have already done so. So people understand that, this is what's happening. Like, it's not like it's a few people doing it and it's not really, it's a choice. I mean, it is a choice, but the idea is this is an upgrade, this is a new feature, and we're kind of experimenting with it together. If you don't want to test it out, that's totally fine. But then there's probably a different thing you'd rather do with your tokens. Maybe you want to eventually get involved with governance with the Research DAO, and we'll talk about that a little bit shortly. So I'm gonna close. I'll keep it open for now. I might come back to it. And then you kind of get breaking up into, one account holds 219.819. There's not enough decimal points here, honestly. I wish I could just select for more decimal places. But I think that's a DAO. There's one DAO that holds 219, right? Which is worth around 1.3K at the moment. And then this is where I get very happy, seeing that, there's more people who hold $10 worth and $100, but like the value here is greater than the value here for that 1K holder, right? Which is really cool. And even looking at the 11K in the farm, there's more funds with people who have $1 plus, right? So $1 plus on Near means you can actually withdraw it. It's actually the gas fees on Near are less than a penny. So you could actually withdraw it and get a meaningful amount of Near out to go buy an NFT or get a coffee maybe, or in many parts of the world, that dollar is useful. And so what I like, I really do enjoy, honestly, is that there's 138 people who have more than $1 worth, and that's really cool. Now, I'm also very happy that yes, we have 1.5 thousand people here, which I'd like to kind of move these people farther up the ladder, right? That's the goal. That these people hopefully become holding more than $1, and then holding more than $10, and we try and grow the community, sustainably. But the idea is, if you hold less than $1 worth, it's probably not even worth interacting with. So for example, when you're on Ref Finance and you're making a swap, and you're saying, okay, you know what, I got a little bit of marmaj, and I need some more near for gas fees. Gas fees are eating at me, but I have less than $1 worth. So let's say I have 0.1 marmaj. Now I'll get out more than 0.1 near, which is great. So this is like an optimistic side of this view. But still, I mean, if I hit swap, for example, you know what? I'll just do the swap, and we'll actually just look at it, because it isn't that big of a deal. It's what I love about near is that yes, this isn't the best, but on near, it's still somewhat reasonable, in my opinion. Okay, so if we go look at this transaction, the cost for it, the actual real cost, was, let's see, execution plan. It doesn't show. It's not showing the full amount, does it? In the overview, it should. I think I'm just not. There you go. Transaction fee. So it's saying less than a penny. Okay, so we sold 60 cents worth of marmaj, less than $1, and so I think honestly, at near, you need a better breakdown. Like I would actually want to see. I'm actually going to tell the devs actually. I'd want to see at least one more breakdown of 10 cents, because it actually is a pretty big deal. If you hold more than 10 cents worth, it actually seems like it could still be reasonable to interact. So if you hold like 0.06, I guess. No, 0.01. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. The point is, if you hold some very, 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 very small amount of, there we go. So it's 0.8. Anyways, if you hold some very small amount of marmaj, over 10 cents worth, that would still be worth it, in my opinion, to actually potentially interact and get some more near as gas. But less than 10 cents, you might actually be like, okay, you know what, the time it takes to interact with this, even if I'm getting a little bit of gas to open up my account again, is no longer worth it. And there's like, all the transfers that it's made. You can kind of look through every single transfer that's ever happened on marmaj ever, which I think is actually super scary but cool. So if any data scientist wants to start interacting with the marmaj research DAO and wants to start digging in, feel free. I think, can I just write like Chloe.near? Does that work? I don't know what this. I've not used every feature here, I'll admit. I'm not sure what this is for. It doesn't even say that it's useful to me. But you are able to see quite a bit into what's happening with the token and kind of who are the holders and what's happening. So honestly, that's kind of, there's a lot more that happens with the token. We talked about interacting with Ref. We did kind of talk about the farm. We didn't go that much into it, so I'll touch over it briefly. We do have guides about this, and this is not like a DeFi kind of stream by any means. But the idea is there are $743 worth at this moment in time. That changes constantly per week of value going to people that have deposited shares into the marmaj ST near pool. So I guess I'll show the flow, because in my opinion the simplest way to explain this is just to show. So right now I have 3.1 power in this pool. If I want to get more LP tokens, I'll have to add liquidity. I have some marmaj, cool, but I actually don't have enough ST near. It'll tell me that. So I need at least this much ST near. So when I come back here and I go to swap, I can be like, okay, you know what? let me just sell one marmaj to ST near, right? Um, and then I should be able to deposit, right? So I was trying to use one, I didn't have it, so if I swap, I should be able to do it. So we'll just swap real quick. It's honestly pretty straightforward once you go through it. It's kind of confusing because you can forget a step or what's next, or there's lots of moving parts. But we're hoping to make this simpler using a DApp called Pembroke Finance, which kind of just lets you automate the yield farming and all this kind of back. This kind of becomes the back end, where we can kind of work with developers and experimenters here, and then hopefully kind of build more kind of stable kind of products on top of the more simplified strategies. But so now we can refresh the page here, and we'll have less marmaj, so only 16 now. And when I say one here, it'll say you don't have enough, and that's because the rate has changed. But I can hit max on this side, and obviously I'll have enough marmaj because I have 16 of them, and now I can add liquidity. And it'll tell me how many shares I'm going to get in the UI, but also you can look on chain to see exactly how many shares you get, and those shares represent the liquidity you put in. And then as that pool earns fees over time, later on when you pull out your shares, you're going to take out whatever the tokens and then the fees as well. And it doesn't mean it'll be worth more in US dollar value, not financial advice. This is again not any kind of financial talk whatsoever. Just trying to explain how we interact with all these tools and what it means to the Marmaj Foundation. Sorry, my throat is really not feeling great. And I love this because this is not exactly true, but it's close enough. So yeah, one ST near equals one marmaj. That's our goal. That's how we'll hopefully be for a while, and we'll see how that goes, because it keeps us accountable and it keeps us striving for the future. But we also have to distribute funding and get things built and distribute more funding over time, hopefully. So now that we have some shares, we can actually go back to this farm and we can stake. So it actually says you have 0.805 available to stake. I will hit stake, I'll hit max, and a little ROI calculator. So over a month, I'll earn about 7% ROI. Not bad. Over 3 months, 20%. Over 6 months, 40%. Here's the kind of breakdown and the value, right? So in a month, I'll earn about 83 cents. Woohoo, I'm rich. But as an example, this was for one marmaj. But if someone was to do a bounty, right, they would earn 8 marmaj. So, for example, let's just say it was around 10 marmaj. And so it would be around 8 shares, right? And so in a month, they'd run around $8. So what I find interesting is then, someone is able to potentially do a bounty for the Marmaj Foundation, earn, okay, a little bit less than this, but earn around maybe 6 shares. So let's be more realistic then. They're able to earn around 6 shares for their contribution value, right? It's all in Marmaj, but this is the value. And then if they decided to experiment in the Marmaj farm, over a year, they would earn these interesting rewards and a variety of tokens they could experiment with. And obviously, the idea here is not to kind of tell people, oh, take this and put it here. That's in no way we're kind of trying to even push to people. The idea is to kind of give people the opportunity to potentially play with tools they never had the chance to in the past. Like, I know I've felt like I couldn't play with lots of these kind of fun dApps and learn in the past in other ecosystems where gas fees might have been too high, or the user experience might have been just too much of a burden. Where I feel like on Near, all of a sudden, we're able to kind of just click through some buttons, hit max, hit stake, it redirects, I hit approve, and all of a sudden I'm farming in 11 different tokens. And hopefully, again, it'll be eventually only one click to farm them as well, where you don't have to actually go back and claim them all. Because that becomes a hassle, right? Because the actual process now would be then, claiming the rewards, but then when you want to withdraw, you got to actually, when you want to withdraw, you got to actually select 5 at a time, and then select 5 at a time, and select the other ones, and it does become quite burdensome. So with an app like Pembroke Finance, we would be able to lend marmaj tokens and so deposit them. And then people, ooh, this is actually quite good. 51 APY and 22 reward rate. Y'all are wild. 90. What's wrong with you people? True degens out here. Wow. Y'all are crazy. I love you guys. I love you guys. We have a few PEM in here, testing. We got a few things in here. We got a few ref in here. Ooh, we're earning on that. I completely forgot, actually. The point is, then we could have people also farming marmaj on this application instead of on the ref user interface. So the best example I can show, in my opinion, is this ref w near farm, which is the exact same farm as the ref w near farm here. And so the ref w near farm here is going to have multiple rewards, marmaj, skyward, dbio, and ref. And so when you enter this farm on ref, you're going to have to manually claim those rewards every day or every hour or every week, whatever kind of works for you. So I usually do it daily, like once a day. And so I am losing my train of thought, even though I know I'm talking about Pembroke. Yeah. So when you decide to farm, we're not going to be using leverage, and actually I would want to talk to Pembroke about building in a line for marmaj where there is no leverage, even possible, and then eventually kind of tweaking the leverage to some kind of cute number, 1.19, and then eventually going to 2.19. But even 2x leverage, let's keep it simple. So the idea is if you farm on 1x leverage, you're just getting the basic APR of the pool. So 61% here. And 63% here because you're losing. You're losing some fees, right? So the idea is there'll be some fees taken by this platform, and so on the marmaj pool, for example, instead of earning 83%, you might earn 80%, but you don't have to manually click through and do it all yourself. So that, again, we'll keep it high level. That's the goal, to make it as simple as possible for users if they want. But of course, if you want to dig in and kind of have fun and click buttons like I do every day, go for it. If you want to build a bot that does it for you, automated on a app like Croncat, where it's paying in a decentralized manner, we can do that too. And that's kind of what the marmaj Research DAO is hopefully trying to support, is people just kind of using these pathways to educate themselves and learn and figure out how they want to be using Web3 to leverage for social good in their own communities. And that's going to be different for everyone. So the pathways are different for everyone as well. And then here, just a quick overview of what the outside world sees when they think of the marmaj token, in my opinion. So whenever I think of a total outsider thinking about the marmaj foundation, or the marmaj token, this is what I think they're looking at, in my opinion. So you still get a lot of the information that you got on Pikes Peak. Total supply, market cap, holders, so same kind of idea up here. Fully diluted valuation, 24-hour trading volume, which actually isn't correct. So if Pikes Peak had an accurate 24-hour trading volume on near, that would be awesome, because it's pretty hard to get an accurate number. And this is nowhere near accurate, but it's probably 2,000 or 3,000 a day usually. And so you can kind of go to price graph. You can look at the past 7 days, the past 14 days, the past 30 days, 90, 180, and then the past year. So what I think is super cool is our token's been out for more than a year. And so when, you can actually get a year of trading history. Now the volume was broken on CoinGecko for quite a while. It is still broken on CoinGecko. But when you hit max, you can kind of see, our token was out from before the 17th of September. But I think it's pretty cool that we have almost a year of data on a public dashboard. That is cool to me. And so the public price was actually correct. So on the 19th of September, again, generally accurate, the price of the marmaj was actually around $17. The all-time high was actually around $20. And then we kind of had a downturn. We're up at 16 with near, dropped with the market and kind of correlating now with ST near. Hopefully on a leg up, we'll see. But again, not financial advice, but again, this is what I kind of see. You can see how it correlates with ETH. Again, I find this interesting because marmaj correlates heavily with near and slightly with kind of ETH a bit. And so you can kind of see how when near correlated heavily off of ETH, so did marmaj. And you can kind of see over the past few weeks, ETH has been going up more than marmaj has. But you know, the sell-off recently of ETH has not been felt as hard with the marmaj token. So that's kind of where you kind of look into these details. And then BTC as well. I'll take out the ETH chart, but you can see again how Bitcoin might be considered less volatile than Ethereum, and marmaj might, you know, correlate similarly as well. In some of these more shaky markets, we try and keep marmaj to be like near, but hopefully, more volatile at times. Like it's easier to change the price, but like when there's no huge price spikes, it should kind of like general market dynamics should trend marmaj to always not move as far as ETH or near or any kind of big market token. And that's basically because we always have like a good chunk of stablecoin liquidity or a relatively good chunk. And so if near is like pumping really high, we don't feel the high as much. And if near is dumping really low, we don't feel the low as much. And so like Bitcoin, we kind of have that kind of a less volatile kind of market, which isn't as good in some ways for trading pieces and all that, but we don't worry about that too much. And you can kind of see, what's it called? Markets. So you can see where it's tradable. So again, the only tracked pairs are these three. There's obviously more than these three pairs. We could show that pretty quickly. You know, actually on Ref Analytics, it's probably the easiest place to just quickly show how many pairs there are and how much, you know, liquidity is in each. So again, I mean, today has just been not a day for volume. We don't do much volume when the margin token regardless, but there is, you know, here's all of the liquidity. There is quite a bit of liquidity, not that much volume, for a variety of reasons. But I mean, in my opinion right now, it's just not a token that needs to have a high velocity. And hopefully, you know, we're hoping to increase the velocity of the marmaj token because I think it's the higher the velocity of a token, I think the more useful it is within a community. I'm not sure I truly believe in the utility of everything being staked everywhere all the time. I think that I do believe in like interacting and transferring and all that kind of touching other contracts with the token. Yeah, and so that's kind of the marmaj token. That was a very long video, 43 minutes to kind of go over like what the token is, you know, how we use it and kind of why it started, kind of like to kind of distribute support within the ecosystem, uplift others. I'm dropping a whole bunch of frames right now. Sorry about that. And you know, we used to have, you know, financial reports. They're not there much anymore. You know, but you know, honestly, we're just trying to, again, support the community as much as possible through this token, and then eventually, very soon, hopefully, start experimenting with governance with the token as well. And we'll go through that, you know, as we go through the research DAO a bit later. So that's the marmaj token and kind of how it interacts with the marmaj DAO. Next, I kind of wanted to go into the kind of subcategories of the marmaj DAO. There's quite a few of them actually. I think it was like 8 to 10 of them. But I'm not going through all of them today, but I am going to be going through the more solidified ones, the ones that have more of a kind of formalized flow of how things work. And they've been around for quite a while. We have like formalized support structures as well for how community members can interact with these subcategories. And so one of the main subcategories is kind of just marmaj chain as a whole, in my opinion. And so I know like Bianca as the creative director kind of manages the website, it manages the socials, it manages a lot of stuff. But in my opinion, one of the main visual creative like outward showcases from the Marmaj Foundation is Marmaj Chan. And I'm just going to make my screen a bit smaller again, just so that you can kind of see it all in one flow. But this is Marmaj Chan. I've done quite a few videos on her in the past. We've been collecting Marmaj Chan art in the Marmaj DAO for many, many months now. I think around almost 9 months, I think, or more. And so Bianca, a wonderful co-founder, kind of created this mascot and kind of gave an kind of idea. So I'll read it out quickly, and then we'll kind of go into like how do people interact, what's the point, and like how does the Marmaj DAO interact with this subcategory to then like, what's the future, what's the plan. So Marmaj Chan is an embodiment of love and positivity. She is a Web3 artist and developer who uses Web3 technology to support her community and the projects that she is passionate about. She loves dogs, potcakes especially, hanging out at the beach, and socializing with her friends. She and Near Chan are great friends. So Near Chan is the OG, cannot ever kind of, stop, not talk about, you can't talk about Marmaj Chan without talking about Near Chan, in my opinion anyways. So this is the OG. This is kind of where I got all my inspo from, and kind of just said, hey Bianca, we should do this for Marmaj. And she was like, okay, I got you, and then made the Marmaj version. Okay, so these are the OGs. They have some cool stuff out here. I mean, they have NFTs, and they got a whole gallery and different stuff you can buy, and some cool stuff. So go check it out, near-chan.github.io, and you can like share your favorite anime. And this is cool. Like, this is pretty cool. And so for us, we kind of have our official logos, so artists can get started. You can download the style sheet. There's kind of it was a competition. Draw Marmaj Chan in your style, which led to we have fonts as well. Of course, you gotta have fonts. But that led to the creation and the collection of. Oops, I'm not gonna log in. But hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I mean, when I say hundreds, every time I do this, I think people are actually a little bit like, I didn't know that there were this many cards. And this is just on one platform. This is just on Paras, and these are just the cards that are tagged Marmaj Chan. So there are more than these, because some of them aren't tagged correctly, and some of them, whatever else. But yes, there are hundreds, because the Marmaj DAO has collected over 200 NFTs of Marmaj Chan specifically. And that's kind of a way, again, where we've distributed Marmaj tokens, Near tokens, to community members around the world for supporting the community. And eventually we hope to kind of work at making it Marmaj tokens, and kind of hack at that, so that again, as users interact with the Marmaj token, they are not just kind of going off and selling the token, and like that's not really the point of the token. I know it's possible for people to go take Marmaj and do the same thing, but the idea is if someone receives Marmaj as a transfer, a token transfer from the Marmaj DAO, it is not necessarily like money or funding, or it's not necessarily something you can just go sell right away. It is something that you have to then educate yourself through, right? So you have to then learn how to log in to a Near application, pay storage, and then you have to learn how to actually swap and actually say, okay, you know what? Maybe I do want to sell. Okay, we can't control what people do. And so then they'll have to say, okay, you know what? I earned 8 Marmaj contributing. I want to, get my Near and do whatever I want to do with it. They're going to have to learn about the auto router. They're going to have to learn about pool fees, right? And price impact. Because if they don't sell right away, which a lot of people, you'll realize when you give them Marmaj instead of Near, they don't sell nearly as quickly because they don't even remember it's complicated. So they might save up for 10 different times, right? And they'll see, oh my gosh, price impact. And what if they want USN instead? Whoa, look at that price impact. Why is that happening? What if they didn't know? What if they're not getting as much funding because 443 USN and 87 Near are not the same, right? 87 Near, let's put it up top, is, so before it was 443, right? how much would we have lost? Why are you being like that? Okay, so 30 USN would have been lost by someone not understanding about price impact and liquidity in the decentralized pools. And again, so Lydia, Ernest, or anyone else who wants to contribute to the marmaj community, these are the types of topics that we want to educate community members on. So we're not trying to dictate what people use their marmaj tokens for. We're trying to provide utility, we're trying to provide education, we're trying to provide support. But the idea is we want to make sure that people are able to then safely experiment and figure out utility for themselves. Like, we're not going to define utility for other people as well. If people aren't finding value with whatever is being built, then let's figure out what we can build, what we can research, or how we can help or discuss. And that's kind of what we try and do at the Marmaj Foundation, in my opinion, at least. So that is Marmaj Chan, and hopefully it's quite clear how funds would get distributed to contributors, how they would even start knowing how to support. We also have Marmaj Chan short story event where people can write up the 2 stories and receive up to 5 Marmaj tokens for their story contributions. And then we have a little library here of a whole bunch of different kind of stories. I think over 20 stories that have been written by community members from around the world, which is pretty cool. And then, in my opinion, one of the coolest things we also have is this wonderful Marmaj Chan store. So this is like the newest kind of, I'm not even sure what I'd call it, but I guess project in the Marmaj Chan, I guess, realm of things. And the idea is there's been 71 minted NFTs, there's 4 total owners. The floor price is 0.819 Marmaj, and the highest price is 8.19 Marmaj. So the avatar was minted up here. There's been some like tickets minted, some memes, some funny things. And the idea is, in my opinion now, how do we continue to grow the store? How do we make it more value for not just the artists so that they can receive funding, but then for the community. So for example, this NFT, See You at Marmaj Beach, is the NFT that has the JLB file that we used earlier to go to the beach, right? So an artist from around the world created this. The Marmaj DAO purchased it, and now the Marmaj DAO acts as a library. So now, when you go to the Marmaj DAO and you go to NFTs, and if anyone ever forgets how to find that avatar and how to find that JLB file, all they have to do is search by smart contract, or it's right there actually, so you don't even have to do that. But you can go to the Explorer for this NFT. I'm still getting like 1% drop frames. I do have a lot of tabs open, and Linux laptops are, Linux laptops are notoriously bad for web browsing, and I have OBS, so many other things. But yeah, let's close a lot of this. I have so much stuff open. Okay. So yeah, that's Marmaj Chan. If anyone ever wants to get involved, you could submit Marmaj Chan lore, a short story. I think it has to be 500 words to 1,000 words in any language, so you don't have to do it in English. And I think all of them have been in English so far, though. And then Ashley, our director of lore, edits them. You can, create your own Marmaj Chan on the Let's BB Creative Store on any NFT contract in the Near ecosystem, and if you share it with the community, we may collect it. But yeah, that's kind of one way that contributors get involved. And the plan for the future would be there'd be like a sub DAO, like the Marmaj Chan DAO, and that's kind of how all the content will be sourced for the Marmaj Foundation. So all the content will be through the lens of Marmaj Chan. So what are her favorite colors? Would be her color palette. And then it would be like that's her clothes that she wears. That's the clothes that would be creating and bringing to events. And we kind of really try and kind of keep everything in theme and in sync with marmaj because the community is helping us build marmaj. And so it's not really just us, again, dictating what this mascot is, but we're building it with the community, which is super cool. Okay, so the next major subcategory or subtopic, sub-theme, sub-DAO, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter. I like the word community because I think that everyone understands what community is in some sense of the word. Whether you've seen an ant colony before, a beehive, whether you've seen a wild pack of dogs or wolves, either way, or you have a good family, or you have a community center near you that that helped you when you grew up, or your school's really supportive, or a great whatever it was, a sports team. Most people have at least seen community if they've never been in community. And so I'm a very heavy gamer. We don't have to go into that. But for the Marmaj Foundation gaming community, we're heavily influenced with, or heavily intertwined, I should say, with the Pixel Dapps ecosystem. And so I'm not going to go through the whole Pixel Dapps thing today, but I am going to talk specifically about crypto heroes and I guess the plans eventually, but kind of right now how the Marmaj Foundation is already interacting with crypto heroes and how we've already been supporting it for like it's been a long time, like so many months, like 9 months, 8 months, 6 months. But what are some plans for the next 6 months? And how we're going to continue supporting this application for not only the Marmaj community, but also the entire NEAR ecosystem. So in this game, it's relatively straightforward in my opinion, but I know it's not straightforward for everyone. So hopefully maybe this can act as an overall guide for how to get started with crypto heroes. So Ernest, if you want to like cut this up and make it that's great. I won't go through everything. I do have old videos about crypto heroes where I went through that stuff, but I will give kind of a quick overview of like what's going on here. So here I have my 3 heroes. I also have a Titan, which is an NFT loot box that I got a long time ago, which generates 1 epic item every 7 days. Okay. We'll get into what that all means in a second, but what's most important is you have 3 heroes. You have 3 crypto heroes. And these crypto heroes are different in that you have 1 knight, where you can see you have like a knight's helmet, high health, not that high damage, not high crit and defense. Okay, cool. Then you have this wonderful mage over here. So you have a staff instead of a sword. You have like a crownish thing instead of a helmet. And you have like a robe as well, right? You can see that you have, a lot of legendary stuff here. But honestly, it's kind of hard but high damage, of course. I mean, I have a legendary character. I think I have 5 legendaries. And I just didn't want legendary boots because, defense dodge. I don't need it that much. But actually, maybe we'll do some stuff on this right now. I think I'm going to have to, actually. I'm going to log into my ledger and, get some stuff done. Because, oops, I definitely did this wrong. Let's see. Got him. Okay, so the idea here is that you have a hero and you start with no gear, right? You have no items at all, and you have to get these items. And so there's 2 ways to do that. You can go into dungeons, right? So easy dungeon, 100% chance to drop normal loot, common loot. Great job. Medium dungeon, as you can see, this is the chances right here, 10% of rare, 90% common. Hard dungeon, which I can beat on this character, right? 1% chance of epic, which comes from the Titan every 7 days. So I can go into a hard dungeon and I have 1% chance of getting it every 4 hours. You can do the math. Or I can get one for free, arguably, from clicking a button and paying some transaction fees on NEAR, which is less than a penny. Once every 7 days. So I do that every 7 days for sure, and I do not get very many from the hard dungeon, let's put it that way. And then Hell you can see the kind of the chances here. And it has a 12-hour cooldown. So Hell has a 12-hour cooldown, 4-hour cooldown for hard, 1-hour cooldown for medium, and 30-minute cooldown for easy. So you go into these dungeons, you try and get some gear, you put it on, and it makes you stronger. Awesome. So it's like any other game, in my opinion, that you've played probably. There's a marketplace where you can say, hey, you know what? I want to sort by stat rank. I want to make my ranger stronger. Potentially, I don't care. You know what? I want a weapon. Rank. I don't care what rank it is. I want it to be good. And let's search. And there was an error. We'll search again. It'll work. And we'll say sort upwards. So this is the best item currently being sold in the game if we're sorting by stat rank. But the item I have is currently better. So you can see currently a problem with the current game dynamic where I'm actually willing to spend some funds. I can actually afford the best item in the game, but there's no way for me to progress and advance. Okay, so there's one. I cannot go into the market and find a better item. If I go into the dungeon, we've already explained, 1% chance of getting that, very low, so I can just wait 7 days. So there's not really an incentive to keep playing. That's just the market in the dungeon, though. There's more to this game, which is super cool. Also the Forge. And so now with the Forge, you could take a rare item, and a rare item, and you have other chances now. So let's start somewhere more basic. So if you have a common item, and you have another common item, it is free to forge. 20% chance of being destroyed. Whatever, that's fine. They're free anyway. I mean, they're a bit useless in the game so far. 79% chance of being common, which a bit kind of slap in the face because, like, who cares? They're useless anyway. So you might as well just have, like, 50% chance of being destroyed, 50% chance of being rare, and I wouldn't care either way because commons are trash, right? We've already discussed that they're pretty much free. We get them from the easy dungeon every 30 minutes. They're not very useful after a while. And so let's forge, and let's see what happens. Let's see what would happen for a normal player if they took 2 commons, they spent an hour playing the game, spent like a few pennies in gas, and they went through this process, right? It took them an hour. Okay, another useless item, right? So from my standpoint, from a player, I'm thinking, okay, well, I'm just gonna burn that again, anyways. Okay, let's go again. Okay, cool. Let's keep doing this, right? And so this is kind of how we already decided that we're not really. There's no point of getting anything. This is even worse. Okay, so 4 damage. No, okay, it's terrible. Not very good item. So let's try again. This, and we can forge. So as you can see, this can be very kind of frustrating probably for a player. If you've ever gamed before, you can probably see how now maybe you're playing for 6 months, 9 months. You already understand that, okay, if you go into a dungeon, no matter what you do, you probably won't get a better item, because I'm playing for 9 months. I don't have an epic item for my ranger, right? So there's that. In the market, you can't go buy a better item because there's nothing available for you. And you know that in the Forge, you could be here all day, and you can't even go from commons to a rare. So how are you going to go from a rare to an epic? It doesn't even make sense, right? So that's kind of one of this is really a fun game. It's really cool how you can be on a blockchain and own all these assets and interact in all these interesting and cool ways. At the same time, there's some more like game economy type issues or social issues within the game that we have to kind of fix as well, like how people interact or how they feel after interacting with the game. And so, for example, let's just say we were like, you know what, we want to gamble a little bit. We want to just go for it. Go big or go home. We have 1% chance of getting an epic. We already have a pretty good epic helm. And the game has this weird quirk where, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but if I put in, how many commons do I have? Okay, so a necklace and a ring, I will get a random item. It might break. I might get a shirt, a weapon, whatever. It'll be random, right? So let's see. Boots. Perfect, got boots. But if I put a helmet, I will get a helmet. So it says random. I don't like that. It should say common knight helm, and then random. But anyways, when I hit 4, it might break, which would suck for the demo I'm trying to do. But the point is, I should get a helmet. There you go. And it was, I think, worse than, worse than the one on the left. So I put the one on the left in and the one on the right in. I got this one out, and it's worse than the one on the left. So it's kind of frustrating, right? A slap in the face again. And I can just try again. I can take this and put it with another shirt and then get a random one. So you see how I've probably spent like, less than a penny, but less than a penny, less than a penny, less than a penny, less than a penny. Every single time I click a button, I'm spending less than a penny, which adds up quite quickly. Don't get me wrong. But I know there's no chance for me to kind of excel efficiently. So that is kind of a problem in the game. But again, let's just say we're saying, you know what, this rare helmet has a 96 stat rank. That's terrible. So let's just throw it to the wolves. This helmet here has a 208 stat rank. That's pretty terrible. So I can pay 5 pixel tokens. So you can see the utility now of maybe, again, this kind of comes full circle now. So if someone's entering this marmaj farm, they would be able to earn a share of 819 pixel tokens that are distributed per week. Okay? So now, if they wanted to come play this game, Crypto Heroes, they might have 5 pixel tokens already to experiment without having to go buy them. So that's kind of the idea. It's not to, the idea is that we don't want people to have to go buy these tokens. We want them to be able to play and experiment and give us feedback without having to do that. So we distribute marmaj tokens so they can enter the farm if they want to, and then earn these tokens, or earn, right? But there you go. Will it forge? They might get destroyed, or no, they might go to be common. They'll probably be rare, might be epic. Let's see. It was rare. And what's interesting, not very, it was better than the one on the left, but worse than the one on the right, but different stats. So this one you might say, okay, you know what? I got more health, I got less defense, maybe that was okay with me. But I just paid 5 pixel tokens as well. So now I paid gas fees in near, and I paid 5 pixel tokens, and I still have to do this 99 more times to have a good chance of getting an epic, which would mean I'm spending 500 pixel tokens to have that chance. And if we go to the swap, which it isn't that much, but if we said we need to on average spend 500 PXT, that's $5. So we're saying that to get an epic, you would need to have $5 in pixel tokens just to pay this forge, and you got to pay the gas fees in near less than a penny each time for the 100 times, and you have to have 200 rare items. Okay? Now I don't have 200 rare items right now, right? And I could probably get rare items pretty easily, right? On medium dungeon maybe? Ooh, only 10% chance of being rare. What about hard dungeon? 15% chance of being rare and a 4-hour cooldown. And I can't beat hell. So medium's as good as it gets. When you check the math, it actually makes sense to run medium constantly. Every 10 times you run medium, you get an average of 1 rare. So that would take a very long time to get 200 rares, right? And your inventory can only hold 30 items or 20 items or something like that. You can see it right here, right? This is your full inventory. You cannot hold more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27. That seems wrong, but 27, 52, 54, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 62. It's probably like 60. But anyways, 60 or 62, around there, items can be held. But when you have 3 characters, it means you have 18, 20 items per character, and you can imagine that trying to have 200 rares would be insane. But you know what? Let's go to the market and see what it would look like. If we're like, you know what? We only care about the item rank, and we're going to sort by price, the cheapest ones. And so we're going to say, no, sort upwards. And so the cheapest rare is 8 pixel tokens. And so let's do some math. If we need 8 pixel tokens, each 200, that's 1,600 pixel tokens. And so it was $5 just in fees. Now it's another $36 in the floor price NFT purchases. And we all know that there's probably not 200 NFTs for this 8 PXT price. And so as you start going down, you'll start seeing that after you buy about 50 or 40, it goes to 9. And then you buy 40 more, and then it goes to, oh, there's actually quite a few of them for around 9 or 10. So you could probably build a bot that would buy, oh, it jumps quite quickly. But you could probably build a bot that whenever there was an NFT listed for under 10 PXT, your bot would buy a couple of them, and then whenever your bot had, close to a full inventory, it would start forging and then try and, forge to a point where it was getting you an epic, right? So even if you have a good epic, though, as you could see, your epic might only have a 94 stat rank and not even be better than the rare that you have. So even if you go through that process, you spend $40, you build that bot that automates it, and you spend all the nearing gas fees, you still might get an epic that isn't as good as your rare. That's okay though, because you have hope, right? You have hope that you could take one rare. Let's show something a little more fun, right? Because if you took this rare, which wasn't good, and this rare, which wasn't good, and you know that they're both rare ranger necklaces, right? So we know that we should be able to necklace, right? So we kind of understand this. You put epic. My bad. We understand that we put what? Oh, I'm sending through 0. Okay, that was bad. Okay, I sent through 0 frames for a second there. 1 second. Let me see what's going on. Okay, now we're good. Just trying to make sure. Okay, so we know that when we put an epic of one type of the exact same item as an epic of another type, and we know they're both terrible items because we have a rare necklace on that is 3 times as good as this one, or more, and over twice as good as this one. So if it costs 10 tokens to forge now, so you can do the math and see how unreasonable it is now to think about getting a legendary, which is all right. 5% chance of being rare, so there's still a chance that we now put these epics in and it drops down, but then again we realize if it's a good rare, then maybe that's all right. 94% chance of being epic, that's all right, as long as it's better than what I see now, which is good because I know I'm going to get an epic. The chance is I'm getting an epic necklace for a ranger. Hopefully it's better than what I currently have as a rare. And 1% chance of being legendary. So this kind of makes more sense at least than the rare one. Because now if I have a legendary, that'd be awesome. Let's see what happens. I'd be kind of gutted if I got a rare. Okay, so not that great of a ranger necklace, but it'll probably be worth selling, for example. So, actually it won't be, because it's worse than my epic, my rare, So now we've seen how we spent 5 pixel tokens trying to upgrade the rare. That didn't work out so well. We spent 10 tokens trying to upgrade the epic. That didn't work out so well. It was fine, I get more health. So you know what? Maybe I would use it, because see how much health that is? That might be a benefit, for example, where I do have really good shoes on this ranger as well. But yeah, you can see how even though it was a higher stat rank and a higher crit chance, maybe I'm dying too quickly in some battles, and so I want to have more HP. And that's kind of why it might still make sense to go for the higher category of item, because it just allows for a higher range of stats. You can still have 0 stats on a legendary staff, but there's a higher range it allows for. I do think that's not good though, in my opinion. There should be some sort of lower bounds. Like maybe the lowest level epic is in the middle or like upper middle tiers of rares. So you could still have a really good rare that's better than the worst epics, of course. Though you want that. Someone's like, oh, I have a really good rare, and like, oh, you always want people kind of judging like what's better. You don't want it to be like, oh, this is legendary, so it's always better. But you also don't want someone being like, oh, this is legendary, but it's absolutely trash. You probably shouldn't have no lower bounds at all. And there's a lot of rares that'll have like a 10 stat rank or like a 2 stat rank, which is not really conductive to a good, again, social environment for the game. But hopefully that explains a bit about the game. But what I really wanted to show is now, where a player gets to. So at this point, you realize that there's not really much of a reason to keep playing, in my opinion, right? You realize that no matter what you do, even if you have 5 legendary items that you got somehow, and even if you're level 65 and you've been playing for 6 to 9 months, you still cannot really get more epic or legendary items without having this special chest that magically gives them to you every 7 days that you had to get 9 months ago, or longer ago. And so now they have this thing called a potion. And this potion of strength, let's hope that I get a really good one. Let's hope for plus 15. But I have to pay 40 pixel tokens for this. Okay, so let's do it. Effectiveness is random. Let's hope for plus 15. And let's see what we get. Because if we don't get plus 15, this won't make much sense at all anyway. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is perfect for this video, but not very fun. I'll try again in a later video later this week to try and showing this side of things is important. But Ernest, if you want to do like a Crypto Heroes full video, the next flow I'm about to show the next flow is important as well. So this flow is when you have a really bad potion. And so in the potions, you can see that it increases your stats by 7 to 15% for 3 dungeons. And so we have 3 uses left, but we only have 7% increased stats. So it's not actually going to make us that much stronger. It does make us stronger, which is great. But I will show you at least 7% plus stats what it looks like to try and beat hell. So they said you should be level 70 with good legendary gear. I'm level 65, I'm not 70. I have a potion, so it looks like I'm around 70. And I have good legendary gear. And I have not legendary boots, but I'm pretty good. So let's see what it looks like when I go out and try and beat the hardest dungeon in the game and have a 1% chance at a legendary. And so I pretty much keep full health for the first parts of the game until I get to the boss, right? I crit really high, which makes me heal. And then because I only have plus 7%, it's kind of hard to keep full health. But I'm still around, 2,800. So I'm back to full health again, right? So I get to the boss at full health. We go back and forth, and then I die. The boss went to about, from 7,300, the boss went to about 4,300, right? So we got the boss to almost half health. Pretty good. Now, if I had a plus 15% potion, it's a lot more fun and exciting. I got the boss down to like a few thousand health. I still lose, though. The point being, I'm very close. I've been playing for a very long time, and I want to beat it without any changes. But as you can see, the difficulty might be fine, because yes, with good legendary gear, and level 70, and a potion, I'm getting there. That's actually pretty cool. The problem, though, is that to get to level 70, it takes you months, which is actually not a problem. I actually really like that. But the good legendary gear part, and that, I'm actually quite excited that the only problem in the game is that it's impossible to get good legendary gear. So the only flaw that needs to get fixed completely is the impossibility, right? Like the statistical impossibility to get good legendary gear makes it you could never actually get to the end game. And that kind of is like the end goal. You just make it possible to beat the game and get there. And then obviously every step past that to do it safely and securely without kind of ruining the game economy and all of that. Those are the actual small steps you take to get there. But yeah, later on in the week, like tomorrow, whatever, I'll use the potion in the raid so that my raid team gets stronger, because there are raids as well. I won't go into the raids; they don't really affect what I've been talking about much today. But you can earn pixel tokens each week for participating in raids. So very high level, you can get stronger, participate in raids, earn pixel tokens, use those pixel tokens to forge and buy items in the market to then get stronger and keep earning the rewards. So that's kind of how the game economy works. It just needs some tweaking. And the Marmaj Foundation and the Marmaj DAO is going to be supporting this tweaking over the coming months. And that's the plan, at least. So that's the GameFi section. A lot more information to be released on this over the next couple of weeks, couple of months. And if you look at the raids, you'll see that we have Okaso.near, that's the head of the GameFi, stuff for the Marmaj Foundation. And then she leads the hard party. we have, oh, we don't have our medium party up yet. And then our easy party sold that .near. I think that's us, right? That is not us. So we have our other teams still getting prepared, but it is Monday. So, it does take a couple days for all of this stuff to kind of get together. But we usually do quite well in these weekly raids. But again, it's hard to keep growing the community when everyone kind of knows that we're just experimenting and you can't beat anything. But hopefully, as we start actually open sourcing the code and fixing some of these logic flows, the community will be able to not only kind of come together and enjoy the game again, but also kind of start to grow around the game, which is I'm pretty excited for. And then I kind of wanted to kind of go over at least where the research DAO comes from. So in general, the marmaj DAO was meant to just be research at creating this sustainable on-chain community within a Web3 ecosystem, and we chose Near to do that in, and we were moving pretty quickly, trying to break things, and it didn't matter too much because there wasn't many people relying on the marmaj DAO to do anything, and so as the marmaj DAO has started to expand and start to get a lot more people involved with what we do, we want to make sure that, yes, there's still a place for Chloe's research to happen, or for me to research and have fun and move fast and break things. But at the same time, we want to make sure that the marmaj DAO is this stable mechanism that's able to last for decades, maybe centuries, if it's even possible. If humans are even around for that long. But that's the goal, right? To try and create a robust system that lasts for as long as possible and for as long as it's needed, right? So if it's only needed for 5 years or 10 years, then so be it. Then maybe it should kind of wind itself down. And what are the mechanisms for winding itself down? And what's the purpose for doing so? And all of that stuff should be discussed beforehand so it's actually possible for it to happen. And so I was thinking about, doing a doctorate program many times in my life for various different things. I was planning on doing my PhD in clinical psychology for a while. I wanted to do it in sports psychology as well. And most recently, I was thinking about doing a PhD in decision neuroscience at Temple University's Fox School of Business. And it was, efficient in terms of the location of the school, but it was also a really cool program, and it was a really cool idea of studying decision making, and not just decision making necessarily of an individual, but in my opinion, community decision making, consensus of communities, I suppose, and in my opinion, I kind of, this is kind of my application paper that I wrote, and I added a little video to this as well, which is cool. So if anyone wants to read it, they can. I'm not going to read through the whole thing right now. But the idea is that, let me see what I wrote as well. I can't remember what I even wrote here. So let's just, actually, you know what? I'm going to read the first paragraph and the last paragraph and see if that does a good job of explaining myself, and we'll see. So, a doctorate degree can mean many things to many different people. To me, it indicates that an individual has taken a considerable amount of time and effort to research, study, and apply their knowledge in a specific academic field. While pursuing a doctoral degree is not the only way to contribute to a certain field of research, it does provide an individual with a structured environment with which to grow as an academic within their own areas of interest, as well as support other academics as they pursue their own research interests. Long sentence there, right? I like long sentences though. This ability to efficiently support a wider community while also supporting my own goals as a researcher is my main motivation for pursuing a PhD in decision neuroscience at Temple University's Fox School of Business. So for me, yeah, I was like, I can just do my own research, which I do every day, but having a more structured environment with other researchers around me might be an efficient way for me to not only research, but be able to be mentored and mentor others in a kind of research in community. And now we're seeing research DAOs pop up everywhere, so maybe this was for the best that I didn't kind of pursue this, or I didn't even pursued it at all. I guess I applied. I didn't hear back, so I can't even say that. I turned them down. I'm not gonna say that at all. But I didn't really reach out and whatever. But to me, if it's meant to be, it'll happen, and I'll just kind of reach out and do whatever kind of I feel God wants me to do. So, but anyways, let's go to the last paragraph. In my opinion, efficient governance is about a community being able to come to a consensus and make a decision. Because I mean, I feel like that. Efficiently, of course, but I think even like I said, efficient governance, because a lot of times, in my opinion, a community is not able to come to consensus. A decision is just made, and I think that's basically what we're seeing in like everyday life, where we're not actually coming to consensus. We're just having chain splits, like in every single decision. So every time people disagree, they just choose to split in like what the truth is, instead of coming together as a community and figuring out what is our truth that we can actually agree on. And we don't have to agree on everything, but instead of focusing on the split and like making sure that we can have different data in our realities, in my opinion, efficient governance, efficient kind of a governance system would allow for a community to actually try to come to some sort of consensus. And I don't think it's that easy. I don't think DAOs are like the end all and be all. I think DAOs are a useful tool to start studying how these processes might work in the future, though. Using DAOs as a model to research how individuals use their power within a system to attempt to influence outcomes allows one to gain insight into how hard-coded incentives, built-in transparency, and a variety of other advantages of DAO governance models are used to support a wider community. The science of decision-making is a research area that I have been involved in for years. The ability to continue this research in a formal academic setting is an exciting prospect. So Lydia, actually, I've only written like one actual article for the Marmaj DAO. Writing drains me quite a bit these days. But these are the type of articles that we'll be trying to release for the Marmaj Research DAO. So the idea is these articles aren't really highly technical. We do kind of talk about the DAO, but again, in my articles, I don't use links very much. But I would expect in other people's articles that they would use links. Again, this is kind of more of a paper, whatever else. But the idea would be that we wanted people to kind of dig in and research and learn more. But again, this is kind of the flow where we're keeping it really just high level, really personable. The idea, high-level ideas, how it might be helpful, and what's kind of the plan. So, for me, the plan for the future, I mean, as we've kind of shown previously, well, I'll do this so we can see both DAOs, but we have the Marmaj Research DAO, and we have the Marmaj Foundation. And so if you go to the Marmaj Research DAO, you'll see there are 3 members. The members are the testing account, my personal account, and then the Marmaj DAO. So not very many people actually interacting yet, but this is where we're going to have token-weighted voting coming in first. Please pay me for my project that supports the Marmaj community. Oh, this was a test. Okay. So I'm just looking at things like crazy. So this is the Marmaj Research DAO. The idea is that, even for currently, every time I stream one of these videos, full transparency, of course, I request 8.19 Marmaj from the Marmaj DAO. So if I stream once a day, Monday to Friday, on average 20 videos a month, I request, I can't remember, it's like 100 and something Marmaj for the month. And the generalized funding flow allows for council members on the Marmaj DAO to request up to 219 Marmaj a week for their initiatives that support the Marmaj community. So that's well within the number. It's actually a lot less than the 219 per week. It's actually in the 219 per month category for contributors. And that's kind of the flow of how things work in general, though. And that's kind of the future of this. So the Marmaj, so Chloe.near will be requesting or the Marmaj Research DAO will be requesting the transfer from the Marmaj DAO, the main DAO, to the sub-DAO, Marmaj Research, once a month for all these videos that I'm currently doing. Now, Ernest, Ernest, you're probably hopefully watching this at some point. I know it's been a very long video, but Ernest then would submit a proposal to the Marmaj DAO. So eventually Ernest will be submitting to the Marmaj Research DAO, so maybe this time. So he'll hit the plus button, click draft proposal, and he'll say, add draft name, highlight reels for June, or let's just say highlight reels for August. And then he can be like, I did 8 of them, right? And then describe. So 8 marmaj per video times 8 vids. And then you can put like a link, maybe, like a link to the stream, because it's pretty easy, right? If you know it's August, you're only going to count the videos in August, and that's pretty simple. So link to highlight reel. Link to highlight reel YouTube, right? So that would be the process. And you'd say, okay, you know what? Let's go to Marmaj and 8 videos, so 64 Marmaj. And you say, Ernest, whatever, .near, right? There you go. So now you have kind of created this draft. You hit save, and then you save the draft, and then a council member of the research DAO, so 21819.near or Chloe.near or Marmaj DAO, can then convert that draft into an actual on-chain proposal. So hopefully that makes sense. Like, funding from the actual Marmaj DAO makes its way to a sub-DAO, and then contributors will request to that sub-DAO based on how they want to interact with it. Okay, so we've kind of gone through a lot, right? We've gone through the different subcategories of the Marmaj DAO, from Marmaj Chan, through to crypto heroes in the GameFi section, then into kind of my personal research interests about DAOs and governance and consensus for communities, and then how the Marmaj Research DAO is planning on taking the videos I'm doing right now, right, creating highlight reels, and then we're gonna have a research intern coming out to actually then write articles, for example, about each of these topics to further explain with each of these sections of these highlight reels how one might start thinking about some of these contexts, how one might think about the Marmaj token, how that might help them get involved in governance in the future if they care about research in the near ecosystem, because eventually people will be able to deposit their Marmaj tokens into the research DAO to be able to contribute to governance. So currently there's only 3 members. Yes, that is true. But eventually anyone should be able to become a member simply by depositing some Marmaj tokens into the Marmaj Research DAO contract. So that's a lot. We are going to keep going for a bit longer, about half an hour longer maybe, because that is, so I feel like I need to just keep closing browsers, especially for the ones that I no longer need. Okay, we'll see how this goes. Yeah, I'm sending 0 frames at the moment. Sorry, 0 messes me up a little bit. But sometimes it's a really, really long stream, and this will happen. So maybe I will have to stop the stream. We'll see. Very interesting. 1 second. Okay. It's really not doing that well. I wonder what it looks like on the actual screen. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's see. Oh, it's really bad. What's happening? Whoa, so bad. Babe, is the Wi-Fi working for you? Okay. Yeah, it's not working for me at all. Are we back? Okay. I think we're back. I hope. For a bit. Because I do want to get through this. And I know I just dropped a bunch of frames. So I am going to like make sure that I'm being heard. Like, it's actually recording. Because I'm sure there's been a lot of this that's been missed. Or that's okay. It's not a big deal. But still, I want to make sure that there you go. So it is working now. We should be able to get through this. Let's do it. Okay, so if you Google Marmaj Foundation, you will see marmaj.org. Yes, our blogs, our DAO, our token, the gallery, Marmaj chain, all that stuff. You'll see our galleries, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Gitcoin, Panvala, lots of fun stuff. But you'll also see some physical stuff, right? So in Antigua, we're listed as a place of worship. We're open 24 hours. Kind of, sure, not really. But the idea is we do try and ensure that we're always dropping frames, staying true to our roots, and showcasing that we are always remembering that our main focus at the moment, at least, is to make sure we're supporting our community in Antigua and Barbuda. And so as we go back, we always try and do different projects there, and that is going to continue to be happening. But the main project that's going to be happening in Antigua each year is hopefully going to be Marmaj Con. Okay. So Marmaj Con will not be at this place of worship in Antigua, but where it might be is at Canada Place. So hopefully this can provide a high-level overview if all the frames don't drop. My gosh. Honestly, I'm just going to start closing all the tabs for everything I'm no longer using. I already know that this laptop has a hard time with a lot of browser stuff, like the ticker stuff along the top. And here we go. So, Canada Place is the greenest multi-company complex in the Caribbean. Okay. Located in St. John's, Canada Place is a state-of-the-art $40 million investment into the Antiguan economy by business mandate and philanthropist Calvin Ayre. Okay, so it can house several companies, 600 people. There's a gallery, right, of beautiful things to see. Lovely, lovely. So, okay, obviously there's some leasing information. Now, I'm not saying that Obviously, it would be great for the Marmaj Foundation to get some office space here, so it would be more reasonable for, again, if we're having a conference, right? Having bookable boardrooms, having video conference facilities, having reception facilities, having catering, having printing services. Those might be things that if we had a small office there, we'd be able to then leverage for other hackers or conference attendees that come to this space. I've been to this space. It is a beautiful space. Large car park, large place, rooftop terrace. And I wish the gallery worked a bit better, but I have to click each photo, sadly. So a little gym in there, a little bar, right? A little ping pong, working at the bar, all that kind of stuff, looking over everything. So cool. A little boardroom. Looks great. They're still building, right? So there's some older pictures or whatever of them like in construction and what it used to look like, how it's changed. And they're looking for a partner, a painter and decorator. Okay. Cool. So, again, there's still a few months before the event would happen. They're still working on some parts of Canada Place, although it is mostly completed by now. But this is the idea, for example, of where we would be hosting the majority of the conference and hackathon. Calvinaire is already someone who's into cryptocurrency type stuff. And so there's other people we'd expect to be in the facility that would also be interested in what we might be hosting as well. So we can educate as much of the community as possible. So that's the start of where it would be. It'd be in Antigua, where specifically Canada Place. Okay, so canadaplace.ag, AG for Antigua. Okay, and that's the high level general idea. Now, when would it be? I'm just gonna stop talking whenever I see that my frames have dropped. Yeah, so it gives me a little red bar. Yes, I can see that. I can see it. It's better getting better now. So yeah, whenever I get my frames dropping, I'll just stop talking and pause. I'm sorry, Ernest. It's been pretty good. Yeah, it keeps going right out. I'll try now to kind of go for a bit if I can. I don't know why. I do have a lot of stuff open still. Man, this is wild. I might have to end this video. I really want to go through it though. What? I'm trying to see if maybe it's so weird. I don't think I've had this problem. I have not had this problem happen very often. Not on this laptop anyway. These laptops are usually quite, trusty, handy dandy. But I've not restarted it in a while. Anyways, let's see if we can get through some basics of what the hackathon might look like at this conference. So January 1st, New Year's, we'll have a party to kick off MarmajCon. After this party, we'll commence the hackathon. And so what are we hacking on? We're hacking on, dApps to support Web3 for social good. And an example we have is from last year. We kind of sponsored an open challenge where we knew that we were going to get $5,000 from the Near Foundation to support this challenge getting completed, but we were also putting up some marmaj tokens as well. So $1,000 in marmaj, which was around 70 marmaj tokens per each submission. So the idea here was that there's many ways to complete the same idea, and by seeing one person's submission, maybe early in the hackathon, you might get an idea for a different way to submit the same idea. And they're both valid, and they work together in the community. And so there might only be one person that gets the 5,000 in Near tokens from the Near Foundation, but the Marmaj DAO could distribute 3 or 4 different prizes, which could kind of grow the developer community in the Marmaj ecosystem specifically. So, high level. And we actually had someone participate, which is super cool. So Near Multicall, Schlaf, Lenart, back in those good old days, it was just them two. And they had a little GitHub repo that they contributed. They actually used their smart contract on testnet. and then they actually sent the transaction on the Explorer on testnet. So we can click this on the Explorer and see what the transaction looked like. But they, the receipt, schluff.testnet interacted with this little DAO on testnet that they made themselves. They acted their proposal, and there was a sequential method called in the multicall.schluff.testnet contract. So you could see how there was sequential transactions going through from one DAO proposal. So that was the idea back then. Like, can we have one DAO proposal do multiple different interactions on chain with callbacks and all this complex logic? And so they did it. I was very excited. I was very happy when I saw the solution to the problem. And so we were like, okay, they get the 5,000 in near at the end of the hackathon, but also we're going to reward them with $100,000 from marmaj. So this was the actual kind of outline for the hackathon. And so for the hackathon in January, this marmaj.con, we will be kind of implementing open challenges similar to this on kind of boards similar to this. So what's the topic of the challenge track? What's the description fully? So it needs to have a full description. So how do you get started? How do you test it out? What are some docs? What are some custom call examples? HackMD stuff. What are the submission requirements? What's the judging criteria? What's the prize? Who's the sponsor? What's your URL? All this information. But what also came with this challenge was a full 41-minute video.
Hey everyone, Chloe Lewis here, founder of the marmaj Foundation and adoption specialist for Near Foundation, the community team. Today, I'm hoping to do a little overview video.
So yes, this was when I was an adoption specialist for the Near community, and so I was, helping to run this hackathon, and yeah, we'll go through like a few seconds of it, and just I guess here I'll kind of maybe 1.5x speed, and then these types of videos will exist for all of the challenges. So I'll go through it quickly, but yeah.
Founder of the marmaj Foundation and adoption specialist for Near Foundation, the community team. Today, I'm hoping to do a little overview video about the challenge that we have open for the MetaBuild hackathon coming up from August 27th to September 12th. So if you go to metabuild.splashthat.com, you can register for the hackathon, which could be a great step for you if you think you're interested. So you can just go put your first name, last name, email, and then what you are, developer, entrepreneur, designer, or other. You can register. I would definitely suggest clicking that, getting an update on the news, what's going on, and different events. But we are going to go back to the homepage, and we're just going to go through the general information, seeing some live examples of bounties and a bunch of our own token, marmaj.tkn.j challenge specifically. If you don't, seeing some live examples of bounties and a bunch of other information. So it's a great place to get started. Also a great place to ask some questions. If you have questions about how this works, like can you submit 2 challenges, someone like me will come up here and answer one of your questions for you as well. But going back to MetaBuild specifically and going back to the marmaj challenge specifically, if you don't know, marmaj has a DAO, a decentralized autonomous organization to help organize and govern its assets and its processes. And so what we'd like to do with that DAO is take its near balance, so its token balance, native token balance, and swap that native token balance for a fungible token. So the marmaj Foundation, the marmaj community, we have our own token. Marmaj.tkn.near is the token address. So I'm going to go over this description very quickly and kind of give a high-level overview, and then maybe we'll drop into some of these links and some of these docs and kind of see how you would start submitting this bounty. So description. We would like someone to implement a function that can be called from the V2 Sputnik DAO.
So yeah, so there's about a 3-minute intro about what is the hackathon, how do you get signed up, how do you get started, who am I, what do I want from you, and then going into here's how you find the information, here's what the challenge is. And so we're probably going to have at least 10 challenges. We already have quite a few of them laid out in various areas. And so for example, what's the goal of the marmaj Research DAO? Well, the marmaj Research DAO has to actually organize all of these challenges, get all the information for them all, put them all up on the marmaj website, and actually allow them to submit their solutions to these challenges. So again, I'll go through a little more, maybe like 1 more minute of this, just so it's clear kind of what we are going to be doing, what's in the next month or 2 or 3 for the marmaj Research DAO, and what's happening at marmaj.con, what are people going to be hacking on?
So we have that's an iteration of Sputnik DAOs that will successfully transfer near tokens from a DAO balance to Ref Finance, which is a decentralized exchange where the marmaj Foundation already manages trading pairs. So for example, we already have a W near marmaj trading pair. And so we'd like to take that near, purchase marmaj tokens, and have marmaj tokens in the DAO's address instead. So from a high level, it's very basic. We want to swap from near to marmaj in our DAO's treasury. Specifically, marmaj.sputnik/DAO or -DAO.near would be able to use. It's how do we make the marmaj DAO a near, be able to call functions and see what.
So then
Target.
much I actually went through, and this is kind of the fun part where Ernest, the highlight reels, and Lydia, the articles that get written. This is the materials that are going to help the hackers get through these challenges. So the idea is, in this 40-minute video, I actually go through as much of the challenge as I currently can do without actually building my own smart contract. So the idea is, here's this challenge where we know that there's probably some logic missing, some smart contract missing, whatever else. We can do like probably 95% of it, 90% of it, 99% of it with the current tools in the Near ecosystem, in the marmaj ecosystem. But we're looking for someone to come in and provide this missing link. And that's what the challenge is. And that's what the bounty is for those who complete the challenge. And hopefully that makes sense. And so, we probably already have the skill set, again, to do 99% of it. But the person who's coming in might know that 1%, but not the other 99%. And so by us showcasing this video and this article and these highlight reels of every single challenge, people can start learning that 99% more efficiently and bring their 1%. And then once we get there with the hack, that's just the start of it, right? And so again, just showing off multi-call, it went from, just a little open challenge to, being able to put custom function calls in, FT transfers, doing sequential, mixing them together. You're able to upload your own JSON, load JSON from proposal, which is insane. It means that another DAO can have a really complex proposal that worked, and you can just take their proposal link, put it in here, put the URL in, and it'll load the entire template for you, and you can just click through and change a few things. So that's pretty amazing. And so a lot of stuff on multi-call. I've done a video on multi-call. I think Ernest did a nice highlight reel this week. So go for free to watch that if you like on this channel. But that's kind of just the flow to go from someone participating as a call to an open challenge to then getting to a fully working DApp on mainnet that's servicing the Near ecosystem is insanely awesome and mind-blowing. So props to you, Chlef. Props to you, Lennart. Props to the entire multi-call team now as it's growing. But we want to try our best to not only have one team or we have maybe 2 or 3 or 4 groups that have spun out from marmaj over the past year. But the idea is how can we be more efficient and more intentional about ensuring that we're actually incubating more projects and helping to accelerate them as well. So I personally think that the marmaj research DAO is going to be focusing on incubation more than accelerators kind of systems, because we don't really care about the speed things get done, but we do want to make sure that the environment that the incubated projects are growing in are conductive for them being able to kind of spin out and accelerate and do their own thing as quickly as they need to or want to. And so as that's being said, I'm just showing this right now. There's not really much to show for this part, but the idea is that after this marmaj-con, so again, New Year's, party in Antigua, talk about what we achieved last year. Let's set some goals for the next year, and then we hack at how we're going to start completing these challenges and what we're going to keep building for the next year. So out of what gets built, right, in these challenges, we're going to start deciding, okay, who wins the bounties, but also which projects are we going to keep building. So even if teams don't want to keep building these projects, it's all open source anyway. So we can just hire our own devs or give out bounties to the marmaj community to then keep building out some of these projects if our community finds them to be especially useful. So I guess that's, one of the flows as well. We kind of have the hackathon go, for a week. We end up choosing our winners. We give the judges some time to decide. There's no rush. We're going to have a week retreat as well. We are ripping off 100%. Thank you, ETH Denver. You guys are awesome. We're kind of going for the ETH Denver type of vibe, where you kind of have your opening ceremonies and party. You have your hackathon week, where yes, you can still party, but everyone's kind of hacking. And then you have your kind of retreat, where you kind of reflect on everything you've built. You get to relax and wind back down outside of the kind of frenzy of hacking and being up all night and partying all the time, into a more kind of more like self-love and like self-mindedness after that of like, okay, yeah, is what we built useful? How do we make it useful? You know, where should we go next type of ideas. And that's kind of the idea for the incubator. What are we going to incubate? And then how are we going to actually accelerate that and kind of bring that to the wider community, not just the marmaj community. And yeah, that kind of brings us to the rest of hopefully what 2013 looks like, right? So whatever projects we kind of decide to build with, that'll be what the year looks like. And then we'll repeat. So yearly, hopefully this is, you know, the goal, right? Yearly we'll have marmaj. Every New Year's there'll be this party in Antigua for the community to rely on and so be supported by. We'll hack together, we'll retreat together, and then we'll kind of incubate and accelerate projects for the rest of the year. And so hopefully that kind of gives a really high-level overview of, you know, what is the Marmaj Foundation? We're a nonprofit based in Canada. What is the Marmaj DAO? It is a, you know, on-chain tool with a purpose of leveraging Web3 tech for social good, and it holds a bunch of Marmaj tokens. And it uses those tokens and transfers them to different people from around the world to spread love and positivity and support the community in a variety of ways. And so as we open up our generalized funding and as we kind of have our different sub-DAOs or subtopics beneath the main marmaj category, we have marmaj Chan, or like the creative side of things. We have crypto heroes specifically, or like the GameFi side of things. And then we have like the research DAO side of things, where like I'm mainly kind of focusing on that currently. But that's where like the marmaj, the hackathon, the incubated projects, the accelerators, that's all kind of going through the marmaj research DAO for now. And those are our three main topics, but we also need to have, for example, an events DAO. So for example, if we're going to be having this yearly marmaj, well, yes, that's our main event, but we're probably going to have, like, if we go to ETH Denver as a community, we're going to have someone that helps us organize those projects. If we go to other conferences around the world, maybe we have more smaller events throughout the year in Antigua or elsewhere, having someone to help manage those events is going to be great. We do have some new council members that have joined the DAO recently that are kind of finding their footing and seeing what they want to support most. And so some of those people, we have one person who really is probably going to lead the marmaj but we have a lot of people who are kind of interested in supporting. So very excited for that. And honestly, this is about it. There's more specifics and more details that I definitely do not need to get into. I'm sorry for whatever of this video was choppy and wasn't able to be heard. So Ernest, any parts of this that really were just missed and you think were important, let me know. I'll re-record those. But honestly, the kind of summary I just gave of, like, you know, Marmaj Foundation, Marmaj DAO, you know, our three main sub-DAO kind of topics, and then moving to this yearly MarmajCon kind of flow where we have these challenges, people come hack on them, and we use these open source kind of solutions to these challenges to decide what we're going to incubate and how we're going to accelerate these projects for the rest of the year. That's pretty much all the Marmaj Foundation is and what we kind of do. We just do a lot of different things to do that. We just earned anniversary. See? Even Marmaj Foundation, 1 hour ago, the Marmaj Foundation got their 1 year anniversary badge. That is a